Real Madrid finally get their man as Bale heads to Spain. Is Juan Mata really surplus to requirements at Chelsea? And who's in the running for a late bid for Samuel Eto'o? Joining me today are former Chelsea captain Dennis Wise and international football writer Peter Staunton. I'm Nat Coombs and this is Transfer Talk. We'll start with new business then, and Pete, the transfer saga to end all transfer sagas seems to be at the end now.
Looks like we've entered the end game with Gareth Bale going to Real Madrid. Sum of around £86 million has been agreed. Spurs have already got their replacements in, and it just looks like we're missing that official confirmation and that huge celebratory signing ceremony that they love so much at the Bernabeu.
What are the marca journalists going to do now with their time, do you think?
Well, they'll just turn their attentions elsewhere and maybe turn the attentions inward and see who's fighting with who, and then next summer we'll do it all over again.
Dennis, do you think it represents smart business when all's said and done for Spurs?
I think it's fantastic business for Spurs. You know, £86 million, wow, world record. I think Daniel Levy is very sharp and clever. Businessman and chairman. I think he's done a great job there to get that amount of money. And what he's done as well, I think, brought the players in early, knowing what he's going to basically get for Bale.
It seems to placate the fans, doesn't it? Because at the beginning, all the Tottenham fans were terrified about the idea of losing Bale. As the summer's gone on, most of them are fairly, not happy about it, but comfortable.
I think it's the way that he's dealt with it. I think he's been very, very clever. And what he's done is he's quickly brought players in and he's done his deals. And that's been an important factor of it. And they've kind of then accepted the Bale going situation, you know, because of the players and personnel that they brought in. And obviously the start they've had as well. 2 wins, which is great. And they've done very well.
Already brought in some great players, as Dennis said. Who else might they bring in before the window closes, Pete?
Well, like for like replacements for Bale, I don't think they'd be too concerned about, because, you know, the likes of Nasser Chadli and Roberto Soldado and Capoue and Paulinho, they're going to give Spurs new ways of winning matches rather than relying on Bale all the time. But just as maybe one last flourish in the transfer window after missing out on Willian, they may still go back for Roma's Eric Lamela, who could provide the impetus on the wing that they need, who can dribble past players, go past people with pace, get balls into the box, and he could be an impact player, difference maker towards the end of the window. But I think they'll be okay even without that.
So you mentioned they lost out to Chelsea for Willian. Chelsea seemingly still in the frame for Rooney. Interesting comments after the Monday night football game between United and Chelsea. What do you make of all that?
Probably the most interesting outcome of that match was the comments again about Rooney, because the match itself was no great shakes. At this stage, I think I would expect Rooney to stay with Manchester United, but Mourinho's put the ball back into Rooney's court and has pretty much said to him, if you want to come and join Chelsea, you tell me about it.
Smart poker from Mourinho, isn't it, Dennis?
I think it is. You know, he's a very clever, clever guy. He knows how to get situations to go on his side, and I think it's a smart move by him. You know, he's put the onus back on Wayne and turned around and said to him, if you really want to come here, please go and say it, and obviously we'll come and get you. And if he says it, I think they will go and get him.
Where do you think Rooney will flourish most this season, Old Trafford or Chelsea?
I think it would be. I think it's time for a move for him. I think he would suit Chelsea great. I think he would be fantastic there. I really do, and I'd love to see him at Chelsea and love to see him playing off the front man. And
Goal reporting the late runners in that race at Arsenal. What do you make of that, Pete?
Looks like Arsenal are going to come back in this week for a renewed effort with a bid for Wayne Rooney. It's ambitious, you have to say, from Arsenal's point of view. They've missed out on a lot of top targets this summer, and there's nothing to indicate from that perspective that Wayne Rooney is going to treat Arsenal any differently than the likes of Suarez and Higuain did.
Moving on to headliners then, Juan Mata perpetually linked with a move away. What's the latest on that?
He's not been in the Chelsea team at the start of the season. Jose Mourinho seems to like his system. He likes to utilise the system without Mata. Atletico Madrid have been linked with a loan bid. I'm sure they would love to take him on loan, as implausible as it might sound, but you know, I don't see Juan Mata going anywhere. I think he's certainly not on loan. He's too good of a player for Chelsea to let go anywhere.
Dennis, I think what stoked the flames a little bit is the arrival of Willian, but they're not the same type of player, are they?
No, Willian plays wide, and Juan Mata plays off the front man, you know. And Jose, I think he made it quite clear that he's got no intentions of selling him. He's very much part of the squad and the team, you know. Okay, he hasn't started. I think that was basically down to him being away and also being injured. And I think the press speculation jump on it, and it's near getting close to the end of the transfer window, but I cannot see Mata leaving Chelsea.
One of the clubs he's been linked to is Arsenal. Of course, at the moment, they're being linked to just about anybody. Benzema and Di Maria from Real Madrid, two targets that certainly Wenger would love to have at the Emirates. How realistic are either of those?
Benzema, I would say, not a chance. You look around the Real Madrid squad, they've already got rid of Higuain this summer, and that just leaves the like of Alvaro Morata and Jesse Rodriguez as backup options if Benzema was to depart. There's no way Ancelotti would leave himself that short in the striking position. Also, Benzema's agent has dismissed speculation with him linked to Arsenal. I would say that one's a non-goer for the time being. But Di Maria, type of player who would improve Arsenal, maybe could be pushed to the fringes at Real Madrid this season due to the arrival of Gareth Bale. But again, if the finances aren't right, then Arsenal won't do the deal. And I think he could prove a little bit too expensive for Arsenal, even if he were to be available.
So much depends, of course, Dennis, on the Bale to Real Madrid deal. When that finally happens, everything else will go in motion. What kind of game do you think Daniel Levy is playing there with that deal? Is he trying to up the price, or is he trying to protect Tottenham's position compared to his rivals in the Premier League?
I think he's looking at the situation just to finish off the small details of the deal, and I think that's only what he'd be looking at, you know, what benefits Tottenham, not any other club. And I think he's done his business early. I think that the Bale deal will go through in maybe right at the last knock-ins. It'll be finished off. It's just small details, and knowing Daniel, he's got it all sorted, and I'm sure it'll be a matter of time before it happens.
It's critical though, isn't it, Pete, that the longer that deal takes to get done, the less and less time Arsenal have to step in and try and take players away from clubs like Real.
That's right, but it's where Spurs have been caught out in transfer windows in the past, where they've lost players really, really late in the window, and it's left various managers at Spurs, no time to replace. Arsenal have done some pretty frantic business in the past on the last day of the transfer window as well. It's been bargain shopping with Arsene Wenger, and who knows what he comes up with. Andres Santos arrived one year, and you know, Arsenal don't want to be facing that situation either. So, you know, it sounds a bit silly to say it right now with a week to go, but the sooner they get the business done, the better. But, you know, we were saying that in May.
We certainly were. Okay, talked about last week about the fire sale at Anchi. Samuel Eto'o is one of those players that clearly is going to get dealt. What's the most likely destination for him?
Well, for the time being, he's still in the Anchi team. He played at the weekend. They were defeated. It looks like Chelsea could be the chief contenders for his signature, although his salary expectations are still sky high. Also, Walter Mazzarri, who's the Inter manager, hasn't ruled out bringing Eto'o back, but if that's just to placate the Inter fans who are without star quality at the minute, that remains to be seen. But I think if Eto'o is to move anywhere this summer, which he's increasingly likely to do, it will be to Chelsea for a small fee.
It'd be a smart signing, wouldn't it?
It'd be a very smart signing. I think obviously if that's the situation on Wayne Rooney, I think if that doesn't happen, I think Eto'o could be a signing for Chelsea. You know, I think he'll fit in there nicely. I think he's worked with Mourinho before, and he likes him. He's 32, I know that, but to sign him for a couple of years, he's a natural goal scorer, and I think he would be a big impact player for Chelsea if they could get him.
So, gents, we're now in added time where I put some of our viewers' questions to you. Dennis, we'll start with you. Tim, via Twitter, wants to know if Victor Moses is heading to Anfield.
I think it'd be a good shout for Liverpool. You know, I think there could be a possibility if they looked at the situation and Brendan needed a player out of Chelsea, and I think he would be. He hasn't started, and I believe he's been sub as well this year. So that's something that could be a possibility. Competition
Amongst those forward places is so stiff now.
Yeah, I think there's 7 at the present moment in 3 positions, and normally you would have 2 in each position. I think obviously they've got 7, so I think looking at the personnel that play across the 3 across that play, Victor Moses would be the odd one out, I would say. So maybe that's a possibility, a big possibility.
Pete Raymond via YouTube wants to know, will Man United sign Luka Modric?
Simply to Raymond, I would say I don't think they're going to sign Luka Modric. Carlo Ancelotti is still getting to know his squad at Real Madrid. They've got some difficult situations with injury in that Real Madrid midfield at the minute, and it's going to be very, very difficult, certainly for me, to envisage a situation that he's going to let Luka Modric leave in this transfer window.
Do you think he'll let any of the midfielders go in this window?
Well, we've seen Di Maria linked with an exit, we've seen Ozil linked with an exit, but you know, until that window is shut, until the season is properly underway, he's not going to know his best 11, he's not going to know his best squad, so I wouldn't expect any of those midfielders to leave Madrid before the end of the window.
Thanks, guys. That's it for today, I'm afraid. If you like what you saw, don't forget to press the subscribe button, and to ask our panel a question in future episodes, you can do so via YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. For more on the stories featured in today's show, head on over to Goal.